You ignore the red flags because you want to believe the best in people, especially when that person is your own son. I'm Robert Chen, 68 years old, and I spent 42 years as a civil engineer in Toronto. I built bridges, designed drainage systems, calculated load-bearing capacities down to the decimal point. My whole career was about precision, about seeing problems before they became disasters. But when it came to my own family, I was blind. My wife, Linda, passed away 3 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 4 months from diagnosis to goodbye. After she died, I threw myself into keeping busy. I volunteered at the community center, maintained her garden exactly the way she liked it, played piano in the evenings. Our son Michael would call every few weeks, usually when he needed something help moving furniture, borrowing my truck, that sort of thing. Our daughter Emily lived in Vancouver with her family. We video called on Sundays. I wasn't lonely. I was managing. Then, about 6 months ago, Michael started calling more often. At first, I was pleased. He'd ask how I was doing, if I needed anything, whether I'd been eating properly. He started dropping by with groceries, inviting me to lunch. He seemed genuinely concerned about my well-being. "Dad, you're not getting any younger," he said one Saturday afternoon in my kitchen. "Have you thought about your retirement funds? With inflation the way it is, you need to make sure your money's working for you." I told him I was fine. I had my pension from the city, my RRSP, Linda's life insurance payout sitting in a high-interest savings account. Nothing fancy, but enough. "That's exactly what I mean," Michael said, leaning forward with this earnest expression. "A savings account? Dad, you're losing money to inflation. Let me introduce you to someone, a financial advisor I know. Just have a conversation, no pressure." I should have asked more questions right then, like how a 41-year-old assistant manager at a sporting goods store knew financial advisors, or why he was suddenly so interested in my portfolio. But he was my son, and he seemed genuinely worried about me. You want to believe your children have your best interests at heart. 3 weeks later, Michael called me on a Wednesday morning. "I set up that meeting for you, Dad. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the TD Bank downtown, the one on King Street. I'll pick you up at 1:30. "Michael, I don't think—" "Dad, please, just hear the guy out. His name's David Patterson. He specializes in retirement planning for seniors. I told him all about your situation, and he said he could probably improve your returns significantly. Linda would want you to be smart about this." Bringing up Linda was a low blow, but it worked. I agreed to go. The next day, Michael arrived right on time, driving his newer Audi that I'd always wondered how he afforded on his salary. He was dressed in a suit, which was unusual. Michael usually lived in athletic wear. "You didn't have to dress up," I said, getting into the passenger seat. "First impressions matter, Dad. Patterson's doing us a favor, fitting us in like this." The drive downtown took 40 minutes. Michael talked the whole way about how this David Patterson guy had helped a friend of his make thousands in smart investments, how he really knew the Canadian market, how he worked with a lot of retired civil servants and understood government pensions. "How much is this consultation going to cost?" I asked. "Nothing. First meeting's complimentary. If you decide to work with him, he takes a small percentage of your gains, but only if you make money. See? No risk." We pulled into the underground parking of a glass tower on King Street. The TD Bank logo gleamed above the entrance. Inside, the lobby was all marble and modern art. Michael led me to the elevators. "I thought you said we were meeting at the bank," I said. "We are. Patterson's office is on the 12th floor. The bank leases space to financial advisors. It's common practice." We rode up in silence. My engineering mind was starting to notice things. The way Michael kept checking his phone, the way his knee bounced, the way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. The elevator opened onto a carpeted hallway. Suite 1207. Michael pushed open the door to a small reception area. Bland furniture, a few financial magazines on a coffee table, a young woman behind a desk. "We're here to see David Patterson," Michael said. 2 o'clock appointment. The receptionist smiled. "Of course. He's just finishing up with another client. Please have a seat." We sat. Michael's knee kept bouncing. I picked up a magazine, but I wasn't reading it. I was watching my son. The sweat on his upper lip despite the air conditioning. The way he kept glancing at the door to the inner office. After about 10 minutes, a man emerged. Mid-50s, expensive suit, firm handshake. Robert? David Patterson. A pleasure to meet you. Michael's told me wonderful things. Please, come in. I stood. Michael stood faster. I'll come in with you, Dad. Just to... Actually, Patterson interrupted smoothly, I find these initial consultations work better one-on-one. Client confidentiality, you understand. There's a coffee shop on the ground floor if you'd like to wait there. Michael's face tightened, but he nodded. Sure, of course. Dad, I'll be right downstairs. Text me when you're done. Patterson's office was bigger than I expected, with a window overlooking King Street. He gestured to a chair across from his desk. So, Robert, Michael tells me you're recently widowed and looking to maximize your retirement income. Smart thinking. A lot of people your age just let their money sit there, not realizing they could be doing so much better. He pulled out a folder, my name already printed on the tab. I took the liberty of preparing some projections based on the information Michael provided. If I understand correctly, you have approximately $420,000 in various accounts. I felt a chill. I'd never told Michael my exact figures. How did you... Michael mentioned you discussed it. Now, what I'm proposing is a diversified portfolio that could realistically yield 8 to 10% annually. That's an additional $30,000 to $40,000 per year, Robert. Tax-free, if we structure it correctly. He slid papers across the desk. Charts, graphs, projections, all very official looking. Of course, to access these particular investment vehicles, we'd need to consolidate your accounts. I have the paperwork right here. We could get this started today, and you'd be positioned to... There was a knock at the door. I'm in a meeting, Patterson called out, annoyed. The door opened anyway. A woman in her mid-40s, professional but clearly flustered, stepped in. Mr. Patterson, I apologize, but there's an urgent call from the compliance department. They need to speak with you immediately. Tell them I'll call back. They said it can't wait. Something about documentation that needs to be verified before. She glanced at me, then back to Patterson. Before any new accounts can be opened, Patterson's jaw clenched. Fine. Robert, if you'll excuse me for just a moment, this will only take a minute. He stood and walked out, closing the door behind him. I sat there, looking at the papers on the desk. Something wasn't right. The projections were too perfect, the returns too high. I pulled out my phone to text Emily, my daughter. She worked in banking in Vancouver. Before I could type anything, the door opened again. But it wasn't Patterson. It was the woman who'd interrupted us. She stepped inside quickly and closed the door behind her. Mr. Chen, I need to talk to you, and I don't have much time. I'm sorry, who are? My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm the manager of the TD Bank branch on the ground floor. That man is not David Patterson. He's not a financial advisor. And he's not licensed to operate in this building. My blood went cold. I don't understand. Your son booked this office space 2 weeks ago. Short-term rental. The man calling himself Patterson has been using this suite to meet with potential clients. We've had complaints. I came up here to verify because I saw your son in our lobby last week asking about our investment services. When I saw you come in today, I recognized you from the photo on his phone he showed me. This has to be a mistake. I wish it were. Sir, I need you to listen very carefully. Do not sign anything. Whatever papers he's shown you, whatever promises he's made, none of it is legitimate. If you transfer money to him, you will never see it again. The room was spinning. My son brought me here. Michael wouldn't. Her face softened with pity. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen. I truly am. But I think you need to ask yourself why your son is so invested in this meeting. Where is he? Where's Patterson? I told him I was calling building security about an unrelated matter. He's probably trying to figure out how to salvage this. You need to leave. Right now. My hands were shaking. I need to talk to Michael. Sir, please. I've seen this before. These scams, they often involve family members who are desperate. Whatever your son is involved in, Whatever he owes. He doesn't owe anything. He's fine. He has a good job. Sarah looked at me with such sadness. The coffee shop downstairs. Go. I'll tell Patterson you had a medical emergency and left, but you need to go now, before your son comes back up. I stood on legs that felt like water. This is insane. You're making a mistake. I hope I am, Mr. Chen. I really do. I took the elevator down, my mind reeling. This was crazy. Michael was my son. He'd brought me here to help me. But Sarah's voice kept echoing, whatever he owes. The elevator opened on the ground floor. I could see through the glass front of the building. Michael was outside, pacing, talking animatedly on his phone. His face was red. He looked angry, or desperate. I walked past the coffee shop, past the bank branch, out a side exit that led to Bay Street. I hailed a cab and gave the driver my address in North York. The whole ride home, I kept thinking I should call Michael. There had to be an explanation, but I couldn't make myself dial his number. At home, I locked the door and sat in Linda's favorite chair. Her reading glasses were still on the side table where she'd left them 3 years ago. I'd never moved them. What do? I said aloud to the empty room. My phone buzzed. Michael, Dad, where are you? Patterson said you had some kind of emergency and left. Are you okay? I'm worried. I stared at the message. The words looked caring, concerned, but now I was seeing them differently. I didn't reply. More texts came rapid fire. Dad, answer me, please. Did something happen? Do you need me to come over? I'm calling you. The phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Dad, it's me. I'm really concerned. You just disappeared. Patterson said, you seemed confused. Maybe we should get you checked out? I'm going to drive over there, okay? I'll be there in 30 minutes. Confused. That word. Like I was some senile old man who couldn't handle his own affairs. I needed answers. I went to my office, the second bedroom where I kept all my files. Linda had always managed our paperwork. After she died, I'd kept everything exactly as she'd organized it. I pulled out our bank statements from the past year. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I logged into my accounts online and checked my recent activity. Nothing unusual. No unauthorized transactions. Whatever Michael was planning, he hadn't gotten access yet. But Sarah's words haunted me. If you transfer money to him, you will never see it again. I heard a car in the driveway. Michael. He had a key. I'd given it to him after Linda died, for emergencies. The front door opened. Dad? Dad, where are you? Are you okay? I walked out of the office. Michael was in the hallway, still in his suit. His face a mask of concern. I'm fine. Thank God. You scared me half to death. What happened back there? I could ask you the same thing. His expression flickered. Just for a second. What do you mean? Who was that woman who came into the office? What woman? Patterson's secretary? No. The woman who said she was from the bank. Sarah Mitchell. Michael went very still. I don't know what you're talking about. She said David Patterson isn't a licensed financial advisor. She said you rented that office 2 weeks ago. Dad, that's insane. Why would you know exactly how much money I have? I never told you my account balances. You must have mentioned it. Or I saw paperwork somewhere. Dad, you're not making sense. Maybe we should... Don't. My voice was sharp. Don't tell me I'm confused. Don't tell me I'm not making sense. I'm 68 years old, not senile. Answer the question. How did you know my account balances? Michael's face hardened. The mask of concern dropped away. And for a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before in my son's eyes. Calculation, coldness. Then it was gone, replaced by frustration. Fine. You want the truth? I looked at your statements. A few months ago, when I was here helping you clean out the garage, I saw them in your office. I wasn't snooping, they were just sitting there. And yeah, I thought you could be doing better with that money. Linda's life insurance shouldn't just be sitting in a savings account earning nothing. So you set up this elaborate meeting with a fake financial advisor? He's not fake. David Patterson is completely legitimate. I don't know what that woman told you, but she's wrong. Or maybe she's trying to scam you herself. Did you think of that? These banks, They want to keep your money in their low-interest accounts. They don't want you finding better returns elsewhere. It was a good argument, almost convincing, if I hadn't seen the look on Sarah's face, if I hadn't noticed Michael's hands shaking. Get out. What? Get out of my house. Now. Dad, you're being paranoid. This is exactly why I'm worried about you. You're not thinking clearly. I said, get out. We stared at each other, father and son. 41 years since I'd held him as a newborn, taught him to ride a bike, helped him with his math homework, paid for his university education. Where had it gone wrong? Michael's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face went pale. I have to go. Leave your key. What? Your house key. Leave it on the table. Dad, come on. Now, he pulled out his keychain, worked off the key, and dropped it on the hall table with a sharp clink. You're making a huge mistake. That money could be earning. Get out. He left. I locked the door behind him and stood in the hallway, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Chen? This is Sarah Mitchell from TD Bank. I wanted to make sure you got home safely. I did. Thank you for warning me. I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you. I know this must be incredibly difficult. Can I ask you something? How did you know? How did you figure out it was a scam? She sighed. Your son came into our branch 3 weeks ago. He asked about power of attorney, how it works, what documents are needed. He said his father was getting forgetful and he wanted to make sure he could help manage your finances. He seemed very concerned, very caring, but something felt off. When people are genuinely worried about an aging parent, they usually bring the parent with them to ask questions. They don't do research alone. So you were watching for him? I asked our security to let me know if he came back. When I saw you both in the lobby today, I knew something was wrong. I followed you up. I'm sorry I couldn't intervene sooner. Is there anything else I should do? Legally, I mean? Change all your passwords. Check your credit report. Consider putting a fraud alert on your accounts. And Mr. Chen, you might want to talk to a lawyer about protecting your assets. If your son is this desperate for money, this may not be his only attempt. After we hung up, I sat down and did exactly what she suggested. New passwords for every account, 2-factor authentication, fraud alerts. It took 3 hours. Then I did something harder. I called Emily in Vancouver. Dad, how are you? Just hearing her voice made my eyes burn. Em, I need to talk to you about your brother. Oh God, what did Michael do now? What do you mean now? Silence. Then, carefully. Dad, how much do you know about Michael's situation? What situation? He hasn't told you. Emily, please. Another long pause. He's been gambling, Dad. Online poker, sports betting. He lost his job at the sporting goods store 6 months ago. Didn't show up for 2 weeks. Finally admitted he had a problem. They let him go. The floor dropped out from under me. 6 months? But he told me. He's been lying to everyone. To you, to me, to his girlfriend. I found out because she called me crying last month. He'd cleaned out their joint savings account. $20,000. She kicked him out. Why didn't you tell me? He begged me not to. He said he had it under control, that he was getting help. I made him promise to come clean to you. I guess he didn't. I thought about Michael's newer Audi, his nice suits, the way he'd been dropping by so often. Emily, I think he tried to scam me today. I told her everything. When I finished, she was crying. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I just kept hoping he'd get help, that he'd turn things around. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault. What are you going to do? Good question. What does a father do when his son tries to steal from him? I don't know yet. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the day, the little signs I'd missed. Michael's nervousness in the car, his insistence on the meeting, the way Patterson had my financial information ready, how much of Michael's recent attention had been genuine concern, and how much had been grooming me for this scam. At 3 a.m, I got up and went to my piano. It was a beautiful old Yamaha that Linda and I had bought 30 years ago. I played Claire de Lune, her favorite piece. My fingers stumbled over the keys. I was out of practice. In the middle of the second movement, I heard it. A car outside, idling. I went to the window and looked out. Michael's Audi was parked across the street, engine running, headlights off. He was just sitting there, watching the house. A chill ran through me. I called 911. There's someone watching my house, my son. I think he might try to break in. The dispatcher was calm and professional. A patrol car would be there in 10 minutes. Did I feel I was in immediate danger? Did he have weapons? I don't know. I don't know him anymore. The police arrived in 7 minutes. I watched from the window as they approached Michael's car. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw him gesturing, explaining something. The officers talked to him for several minutes. Then one of them walked up to my door. I let him in. Mr. Chen? I'm Officer Martinez. Your son says he was just worried about you. Says you had some kind of episode today, and he wanted to make sure you were okay. I didn't have an episode. He tried to scam me. I showed him everything. The text messages from Michael, Sarah Mitchell's contact information, my bank statements showing no authorized access. My voice was shaking by the end of it. Officer Martinez's expression changed as he listened. Sir, I need to ask you some direct questions. Has your son ever stolen from you before? Not that I know of. Do you want to press charges for what happened today? Did I? Pressing charges meant police reports, investigations, possibly jail time for Michael. It meant our family being torn apart publicly. It meant admitting that my son, the baby boy I'd rocked to sleep singing off-key lullabies, had tried to rob me. I need time to think. I understand. But Mr. Chen, you should know what you've described sounds like attempted fraud. The fake advisor, the fake office, the pressure to sign documents. If this went through, you could have lost everything. And if your son is this desperate, he might try again. Maybe more directly next time. After the police left, after they'd told Michael to go home and not contact me, I sat in the dark living room, Linda's reading glasses catching the streetlight. What would you do? I asked her ghost. She'd always been better with people than me. I built things, solved problems with math and physics. She understood the human heart. I thought I knew the answer. Linda had loved our children fiercely, but she'd never let them off easy when they screwed up. When Michael was 17 and crashed her car drunk, she'd made him get a job and pay for the repairs himself. When Emily shoplifted makeup at 14, Linda had marched her back to the store to apologize and work it off. Love without boundaries becomes enabling. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Gerald Shapiro was in his 70s, semi-retired, recommended by a former colleague. I met him at his office in Midtown Toronto and laid out everything. He listened, made notes, asked pointed questions. The good news is that no money actually changed hands. The bad news is that your son now knows your financial situation and may attempt this again, possibly in a more sophisticated way. We need to protect you legally. We spent the next 2 hours setting up a trust, revising my power of attorney to name Emily instead of Michael, and putting safeguards on my accounts that would require a lawyer's approval for any transfers over $5,000. I need to tell you something else, Gerald said at the end. I made some calls. David Patterson, or whatever his real name is, has done this before. Twice that we know of. Both times with elderly clients brought in by family members. Both families were too embarrassed to press charges. Did they lose money? One lost $80,000. The other lost everything. Their son had power of attorney. I felt sick. Mr. Chen, you have 2 choices. You can let this go, hope your son gets help on his own, and live with the knowledge that he'll probably try again with someone else. Or you can report this to the police and give them ammunition to take down Patterson and anyone working with him. Including Michael. Including Michael? Yes. I thought about those other families, the ones who'd lost their money, somebody's parents, somebody's grandparents, who'd trusted their children and ended up destitute. I need to talk to my son first. I'd advise against. I need to hear it from him. Just once. I need to know why. Gerald gave me a card for a detective in the fraud unit. When you're ready, I called Michael from the parking lot. Dad? Thank God. I've been so worried. The police said, I need you to meet me. Tim Hortons on Yonge Street, the one near Shepherd. 1 hour. Of course. Dad, we need to talk about 1 hour. I got there early and took a corner booth where I could see the door. Michael arrived exactly on time, looking haggard. He'd aged 10 years overnight. He slid into the booth across from me. Dad, I'm so sorry about last night. I was just worried, and I know it looked bad, but... Stop. He stopped. I spoke with your sister. She told me about the gambling, about your job, about your girlfriend's savings. His face crumpled. I was going to tell you. I just needed to get back on my feet first. I didn't want you to worry. So you decided to steal from me instead? It wasn't stealing. Dad, that money's just sitting there doing nothing. I could have doubled it, tripled it. I have a system now. I've been winning. I just need a bigger stake too. Listen to yourself. My voice cracked. You tried to scam your own father to fund a gambling addiction. It's not an addiction. I have it under control now. If you just listen to Patterson, his name isn't Patterson. He's a con artist. You hired him to steal from me. Michael's eyes went wild. That's not Sarah Mitchell is lying. She has her own agenda. She probably wanted to set up her own deal with you. Did you even think of that? Did you even consider that I might actually be trying to help you? How much do you owe? Silence. How much, Michael? It doesn't matter. Tell me. 180,000. His voice was barely a whisper. I felt like I'd been punched. Jesus Christ. It's not as bad as it sounds. I can win it back. I've been studying the patterns. I have a strategy. I just need capital. And you have it just sitting there, Dad. Linda wouldn't have wanted. Don't you dare. My hands were shaking so hard I had to grip the edge of the table. Don't you dare bring your mother into this. She would be ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of you. Tears were running down Michael's face now. Dad, please, I'm desperate. They're going to hurt me. These people, they're not the kind who just let debt slide. Who? Who did you borrow from? It doesn't matter. What matters is, I need help. I'm your son. You have to help me. And there it was. The truth beneath all the lies, all the manipulation. Not will you help me, but you have to. No, I said quietly. I don't. What? I don't have to enable your addiction. I don't have to bankrupt myself because you made terrible choices, and I certainly don't have to let you steal from me. I'm not stealing. I'm asking. As your son, I'm asking for help. You're demanding. There's a difference. I pulled out Detective Morrison's card and slid it across the table. I'm going to call this number tomorrow morning. I'm going to tell them everything about David Patterson and his office, and the scam you tried to pull. They'll investigate. They'll probably arrest both of you. Michael stared at the card like it was a live grenade. You wouldn't. I don't want to, but I will. Unless what? I'll do anything, Dad. Anything. Unless you check yourself into rehab today. Right now. There's a program at CAMH that specializes in gambling addiction. I already called. They have a bed available. Rehab? Dad, I don't need 90 days inpatient. Full program. You complete it, stay clean for 6 months, with proof meetings, therapy, everything, and I won't press charges. I can't just disappear for 90 days. I have things to... What things? You don't have a job. You don't have a girlfriend. You don't have a home. What exactly are you going to miss? His face was blotchy, desperate. The people I owe money to, they won't wait 90 days. That's not my problem. You created this mess. You either deal with it the right way, or you deal with it from jail. Your choice. We sat there for a long time, the coffee shop bustling around us. A father and son at a crossroads. What if I can't do it? Michael finally whispered. What if I fail? And there, beneath all the lies and manipulation and desperation, I saw my little boy again. The one who used to be afraid of the dark. The one who'd cried when his hamster died. The one who'd hugged me so tight the day I taught him to swim. Afraid to let go. Then we figure out the next step, I said. But Michael, I can't help you if you don't want to be helped. And I won't let you destroy me trying. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve. You really called them? The rehab place? I did. They're expecting you. What about the people I owe? I'll make some calls. See what can be worked out. But, Michael, I'm not paying your debt. That's on you to resolve. I might be able to negotiate some kind of payment plan, but that's all. They'll want collateral. Then you'll have to figure something else out. It wasn't what he wanted to hear. But maybe, for the first time in months, years, maybe it was what he needed to hear. Michael checked into Cam H that afternoon. I drove him there myself. Waited while he filled out the paperwork, watched him disappear through the double doors to the inpatient wing. The intake counselor, a kind woman named Rachel, met with me briefly. "This is going to be hard for both of you," she said. "But you're doing the right thing. Enabling doesn't help. It just delays the inevitable crash." I drove home in silence. The house felt emptier than ever. Over the next week, I did what I had to do. I filed a police report about David Patterson. I gave Detective Morrison every detail I could remember. She was thorough, professional, and told me they'd been tracking Patterson for months, but could never get anyone to press charges. "You're doing the right thing," she said. "Men like this prey on families, on trust. Every victim who stays silent lets him move on to the next one." Patterson was arrested 2 days later, along with 2 accomplices. Michael's name came up in the investigation, but because no money had actually been transferred and because he'd entered rehab, the Crown decided not to press charges for now. "He got lucky," Detective Morrison told me. "But Mr. Chen, if he relapses, if he tries something like this again, he won't get another break." I also dealt with Michael's loan sharks. It took some negotiating, some veiled threats about police involvement, but eventually we worked out a payment plan. Michael would pay them back over 5 years, with interest, once he got a job. I co-signed, which meant if he defaulted, they'd come after me. Emily thought I was crazy. "Dad, you're putting yourself at risk." "I know. But the alternative was worse." What I didn't tell her was that I'd also taken out a small life insurance policy on myself. If something happened to me before Michael finished paying, it would cover his remaining debt. It was the last safety net I was willing to provide. I visited Michael once a week at Cam H. The first few visits were brutal. He was angry, defensive, going through withdrawal from the rush of gambling. He blamed me, blamed society, blamed everything except himself. By the 4th week, something shifted. I came in and found him in the common room, actually talking to his counselor instead of just nodding along. "Dad," he said when he saw me, "I need to tell you something." We sat in the courtyard. It was October, leaves falling around us. "I've been lying to myself," he said, "for years. Every time I lost, I told myself the next bet would fix it. The next win would solve everything. I convinced myself I was good at it, that I just needed better luck. But the truth is, I've been chasing a feeling, that rush when you win. Nothing else in my life made me feel like that." What changed? My counselor asked me to write down every lie I've told in the past year, every single one. He pulled out a notebook, pages and pages covered in his handwriting. "This is just the first month. I've lied more than I've told the truth. And the worst part? I started believing my own lies. I actually convinced myself that scamming you was helping you." He looked at me with clear eyes for the first time in months. "I'm sorry doesn't even begin to cover it. But I am. I'm so incredibly sorry." I reached across and squeezed his shoulder. "I know." Michael completed the 90-day program. Then he moved into a sober living house in Scarborough. He got a job at a warehouse, night shift, loading trucks. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. He attended Gamblers Anonymous meetings 5 times a week. 6 months later, true to my word, I didn't press additional charges. Detective Morrison had enough evidence to convict Patterson without Michael's testimony anyway. Patterson got 4 years. A year after that day at Tim Hortons, Michael and I met for lunch at a different spot. He looked different, thinner but healthier, tired but present. "I've been paying off the debt," he said. "It'll take another 4 years, but I'm making progress. And Dad, I haven't placed a bet in 368 days. I'm proud of you." I don't deserve that? Maybe not. But I'm proud anyway. We talked about small things. His job, Emily's kids, the garden I was still maintaining, Linda's roses blooming their last before winter. As we were leaving, Michael stopped me. "I know I don't have the right to ask this, but do you think there's a way back? For us, I mean, will we ever be like we were? I thought about that question for a long time. No, I finally said. We won't be like we were. That relationship was built on assumptions that turned out to be false, on a version of you that doesn't exist anymore, and maybe never did. But Michael, that doesn't mean we can't build something new, something real. It just takes time. How much time? I don't know. As much as it takes. He nodded, accepting that. We parted ways in the parking lot. 2 years later, we're still building. Michael's still sober, still working. He's enrolled in night classes, working toward becoming a substance abuse counselor himself. We have lunch once a month. The conversation is sometimes awkward, sometimes easier, but it's honest. I changed my will. Emily is the executor. Everything's in a trust that Michael can't access directly. If I die, he'll get an allowance, enough to live on but not enough to gamble with. It hurt to set it up that way, but it was necessary. I also started volunteering with an organization that helps seniors avoid financial scams. I tell my story, changing some details for privacy to groups of older adults and their families. The look on their faces when I describe how it almost happened to me, a former engineer, someone who prided himself on being sharp. It's a good reminder that it can happen to anyone. The hardest part isn't the changed relationship with Michael, or the money I spent on lawyers, or even the knowledge that my son tried to rob me. The hardest part is knowing that Linda didn't get to see this. She didn't get to see her son hit bottom. She didn't get to see him climb back. She believed in Michael until the day she died, trusted he'd figure things out. Sometimes I wonder if that's a mercy, that she never had to feel this betrayal. Other times, I think she would have handled this better than I did. She always knew what to say, how to love someone while still holding them accountable. I play piano more now. Claire de Lune and other pieces Linda loved. I still keep her reading glasses by her chair. The garden still blooms every spring with her roses. And when Michael visits, which he does sometimes now, I watch him look at those roses with something like grief. He knows what he almost lost, what he did lose. The trust we had, the easy relationship, those are gone, maybe forever. But there's something else growing in their place. Something harder earned but maybe stronger. Built not on assumptions or blood obligation, but on choices. His choice to get help. My choice to offer it, but with boundaries. Our choice to keep trying, even when it's hard. That's not the ending I would have written if I could, but it's the one we've got. And most days, that's enough. I still remember that day at the bank, Sarah Mitchell grabbing my arm, whispering her warning. I remember the choice I faced in that moment, to believe the best in my son or to trust my own eyes. I chose truth over comfort, justice over enabling, love, but with boundaries. It almost destroyed us, but it might also have saved us. I don't know yet how this story ends. Michael's recovery is ongoing. Our relationship is still a work in progress. There are no guarantees, but I do know this. Love without boundaries becomes enabling, and sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no, is draw a line, is refuse to be destroyed by someone else's choices, even when that someone is your own child. It's the hardest lesson I've ever learned, but maybe the most important.